is dead, and I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a bull. You see me raising the stock up.
Welcome back to the Backstage Pass podcast with your host Val at Valerie Rattel.
And Ashley Lakomowski at Fittest Ever. And on today's episode, we are doing the reality of social media versus real life, navigating the pressures of perfection. But first, we wanted to start off with something very nice today, right, Val? We wanted to start off with a daily devotion.
So we have that little devotional book. If you don't have it, it's every day there's a devotion about the scripture, like one, two, or three scripture. And on my side, I've had a week. So when I read it this morning, it was exactly what I needed. So we thought we would share it with you guys.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I feel like each day is like, I feel like it just like speaks to you, right?
Yeah, starting the day with it, just set up your day.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start off with the first paragraph. So, keeping your eyes on me, waves of adversity are washing over you, and you feel tempted to give up. As your circumstances consume more and more of your attention, you are losing sight of me. Yet I am with you always, holding you by your right hand. I am fully aware of your situation, and I will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able to bear.
Your greatest danger is worrying about tomorrow. If you try to carry tomorrow's burden today, you will stagger under the load and eventually fall flat. You must discipline yourself to live within the boundaries of today. It is in the present moment that I walk close to you, helping you carry your burdens. Keep your focus on my presence in the present.
Amen. I love
Amen.
that.
So good.
Amen. Yeah.
I needed that today.
I think that, you know, it could be something good for us to do, like on each episode of the day, we'll do something like that, either something from our devotion or even a scripture that just really, I don't know, just really touched us and something that we want to share with you guys. So,
yeah, I love that.
yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, episode 3, we are here, and I feel like this is a really, really, really good one that we're talking about. Really, really good topic that we're talking about today. You know, we really wanted to dive deep into, you know, the pressures of perfection, and I think especially being on social media, and Val, you could agree to this, like being anywhere in your life, you know, work, even family, you know what I mean, like everything. And so I actually even took down some notes. I wrote down just so that me and Val, like, not that we're going to lose focus, but I feel like we could go off into like different, like, we really could, it's the truth.
Yeah, I feel like that's a topic. It's like, it's so big because you're like, you know, there's so much on like social media that like, obviously the pressure, or we compare ourselves all the time, but I feel like, yeah, it can take us like a lot of places because there's just, it's such a big thing. It ties with like confidence, self-confidence, you know, am I worthy, am I not? Yeah, so I'm gonna try to stay focused.
Yeah, and by the way, also really quick too, that that sermon that you sent me with that lady, I watched that actually. And that was so good. I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful, because I feel like it's just something that we all deal with, like on a daily basis, of just the pressures of perfection and comparing ourselves to others, you know.
Yeah, maybe I'll put the link of the sermon down below if you guys wanna watch it. But there was like a point that she was saying was really cool. It's like she was pretty much saying like we always base our worth or like our entire life, we value it on like someone else like present life. So it's almost like you determine how like worthy you are to someone else, you know, where there are like status or anything. And then sometimes we forget, like, I could be comparing myself to someone who's 40 years old, has been so much experience. Maybe their family is like, you know, very like wealthy. Not that they had it easy, but like, you know, you'll compare like yourself with people who has completely different circumstances, age, you know, uh, anything. So it's like it is it is crazy for us to be like, okay, like what is my worth comparing to like someone else, you know? It's like we're all at different places and we're all at different circumstances. Everyone's life is different. Doesn't mean your life is any less or it cannot get there. Maybe it's gonna take more time for you, maybe, you know. But there's there's a reason for it. But that's what we get caught up with, right?
Yeah, I feel like we all deal with this. And that's why it was like such a good topic for us to talk about because I think we definitely know firsthand how it feels and like people on the outside looking at us like, oh, they have such a glamorous life. And I know we spoke about this before, but like, oh my God, they're so like glamorous life, like lucky them. They have like, you know, their sponsors and like all these free things and everything is given to them and they're just on there like living their best life. That's not how it works.
If you only knew.
If you only knew the truth, and that's why we were like, let's open up, let's talk about some things and kind of where we
Yeah.
started, and and you know, just kind of really, I guess you could say the first thing I have actually down is perception versus reality. So like
Oh,
perception from viewers, from obviously you guys looking in, right? Like you guys looking at us on our page, you look at it as such a glamorous life, but not realizing that there is a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot of effort that we put into these things. We, started, I know that for me, Val, I started in 2018 is really when I started my social media and started working at it. When did you start working at yours? Like when were you like really like putting things out there and like
I think it's
getting your
crazy. For me, it's always been easy. Like, it's funny that like when I started like training more and competing, like my first even like show, like I had like all Max actually came to me and like sponsored me like free product, and it was like such a big deal for me. Which like, and then I was already like posting a lot like I do now because I've just always loved that, and it was always easy for me. It was like for the fun of it. It wasn't any pressure or anything. But I think when I moved to Ontario and I started training at Pure and being surrounded by more like bigger people, like for example like Antoine, Quinton, and then I was in the friend group, so they started tagging me. I get more, followers. So I think that's kind of when it started to like really work for me being with HD. Um, yeah, but before that, it was just like I remember I was a waitress and I was posting a lot, and then obviously like people waitress didn't really understand my sport, the industry, and I was starting to be a bit more popular. That like some people would like be like, "Oh my God, that's Val," and wanting a photo with me. Or, like it wouldn't happen often, and then actually my friends from my work were laughing about it, not in a mean way, but being like, "That's so weird. Like it's just you," and they didn't understand because we know that like if you go anyway, like to the Olympiad, to the Arnold, whatever, you meet, people you look up to. It's you want picture with them, but they did. They kind of laughed at it, and now obviously they see it a different way. I mean, I don't talk to them really anymore because I moved, but it's just funny the way that like it was so new to me, and like some people would come like not often but like take photo with me, and they would be like, this is so weird, like it's just you, and I'm like, yeah, I know, it's still the same, it's like, yeah, it's just me. But
yeah, but that's what makes you so like humble about it because you don't because your intention on social media was never like, hey, like I want to get attention, like I need to find validation through the social media, get attention and likes and
yeah,
things like that. You know what I mean?
I think you still
Um,
like you get caught up in that though. I don't know for you, like was it like, oh, I'm just doing that for fun, you started getting like obviously more followers? Was it ever a time you were like starting to be like, oh, like I want to be seen by some people, or like,
for me, I feel like I started. I started my Instagram really in 2018 when I first competed, and I started because I wanted to build something around myself to where I could get sponsorships to help me with my shows. And I mean, that's the truth of it. I didn't start like, oh, like I had an Instagram before, but it was just like posting things that were just, I don't know, random things, like just random things. I didn't have a lot of didn't have a lot of followers, and I didn't really care to like build my Instagram. But
Yeah.
obviously, the sport like was like, you know what, like it'd probably be good to build something. I had seen so many influencers. Not even I don't even want to say influencers because I never looked at influencers.
Public
People with
figure, like,
yeah, like people. I just looked at athletes. I looked at these athletes that were really good bodybuilders, and I seen the content that they put out, and I seen, you know, like sponsorships and things like that, and I was like, you know what, me and Mike, my husband, were like, you know, that would be really cool to eventually build something like that, so that, you know, they could help with things, but as well as just, I guess you could say, just marketing myself in a way that's like, hey, like, I'm working towards something. Not sure what. I'm not sure what's going to come about this, but
yeah.
I know that I had to start with social media because social media, Instagram, is the platform to do that. So that was really my intention when I started. But then it became where I was like, you know what, like I want to post things that I like. See, but I think, like I said at first, it was like posting, a lot of my first posts were like flexing and like showing off really what I was doing, right? So like I was
Yeah.
training, I got into training, and I was serious, and I wanted people to see me as an athlete because I felt like I was I mean, I'm an athlete, and I wanted
I
people
feel like
to
I was an athlete. Well, sorry to break it to you. You're an athlete.
I'm an athlete, you know, and I always wanted to be an athlete because I grew up not playing in sports.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I was, but I always wanted to be. I
yeah.
always wanted to be because I knew that I always had the potential to do something
Yeah.
great in any sport that I did. But so I think this was like, oh my gosh, this is my chance. Like, let's work towards this. You
Yeah.
know.
I think
So
it
that's
like
kind of
I
yeah.
think it can be a good like motivator. Like I think like if I'm like hearing from your side, it's like for you it was like motivating to want to like grow your social media, and like you would look at those athletes, just be like, oh, okay, like that's something I could do. Okay, let me work towards that, instead of like just being like taking those people as like idols and be like, oh yeah, like looking so much on like the followers part, but more like, okay, no, I want to grow that. I want to share my journey. I want to show the kind of athlete I am, and I love that.
Hmm. That's really what I wanted to do, and then I just feel like little, like, like our friends, our good friends, they had he had opened like a vitamin shop, and he was like a little shop here in San Antonio, and he had stuff, right, like he had a bunch of supplements he had there. And so like we would do like photos and stuff. Mike obviously took the photos, and then I would have the supplements, and we would take photos like in his shop. And I remember thinking, wow, this is so cool that I'm actually being considered to do something like
Mm,
this. Like for me, that was like, wow, like, yay, I'm doing it. Like I'm finally like where I wanted to be. And so then through that, then I was sponsored then by Dragon Pharma. I don't know if, do you know Dragon Pharma? Yeah. And so they were like my first like real sponsorship. And I remember I was like,
wow.
oh my gosh, this is so freaking cool, And then just from there, it's like you kind of, but then it's like once you get bigger, right, in the sense of like your sponsorship, right, or like for me at least, I was with with Dragon. It was like, okay, I have to make sure I come out with really good content here. Like I want to
Yeah.
be able to represent their brand
Yeah.
the right way, you know.
Well, you want to show that, like, you're worth enough for them to want you as an athlete, and um yeah, like represent them well. But I think it changed so much through the year. Obviously, at first, I feel like years ago, when you had a sponsor, it's because they really valued you. Now you're
Mhm.
like almost a number, which is so hard to be with brands now. And like obviously, I'm with HD, and like they're a close friend to me. They're like family to me, so it's different. But I've been having such that's why I can like remove myself from like even wanting clothing sponsorship or anything, because from the outside, when you don't know much about the industry and stuff, you think it's like, oh, it's so great. But people don't realize it's like those big companies, you get to a point you're almost like you're a number. They don't know you personally. They don't reach. And I'm not saying that for like all the brands, and like some brands, they obviously have their circle of people, and like they take care of their athletes. But a lot of time when you're just um, an ambassador, or like it's like people are just starting their social media, they'll do, and I understand that because it's hard, you want to get somewhere, but they'll do anything just to have an ambassador like status and just get some free clothes. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but at the same time, it's, you need to realize that you're worth more than that. And I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
it changed so much. It's just like everyone gets sponsorship, everyone gets things really easily, and yeah, just
Instead of it being like how it was, like I feel like I remember like it. I don't know. At least for me, like it was still really hard for me to like. Do you know what I mean? Like it took a lot of work
mm,
on our side of things
yeah,
to really kind of like create that, and to even like it's like I don't know. You just had to put a lot more work into things. You
yeah.
know.
And I think people think that like any sponsor you have, you're being paid like so much money and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
like you're living like comfortably, and like you're like you don't have to do anything but content. It's that's not it. If you're lucky, you have one good sponsor or maybe two that pays you.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like a lot of the time, brands now, because of social media, they don't need to pay athletes like they used to before, because they have so many ambassadors, they have so many people tagging them for free, that they're not willing to pay you. They don't even see the value in you to pay you. So now you need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure you make commission. You may need to make sure it's a lot of work, and I mean, it can be fun work, but it's still a lot of work to even try to like sell stuff. Especially if you're like you don't have as many followers, or people doesn't, and then I feel bad saying that, but like you'll see like big, like maybe like big athletes, Olympian, and they have sponsor, and I've I've seen the other side of things, and they don't sell. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's not that easy as you think. It's like you need to have an impact on people to be able to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So it is way more like, it's not that just so like easy and pretty as it looks like.
Yeah. It's definitely. I think it's definitely like I mean, sales is hard. Period. Sales, you have to work a lot mentally,
Yeah.
and also like knowing what you're selling, I guess, in the sense of like, I don't know, at least for me, like, not even selling, but for me, I at least have to believe in something, right? Like, I have to feel connected to it. I don't know how to sell something that I don't believe in. And so that's why I always try to be very honest, not try, but I am very honest with what I put up on my page. I don't know
Yeah.
how to be, I don't know how to be fake. I know how to I know how to perform. Like I can
Yeah.
perform, but it has to be. There's a difference between performing and I guess being fake. I mean I don't know. I think those go together well,
Yeah.
right? Not being fake but still performing. But I feel like I don't know how to perform in the way of like I just want to keep things real and put things out there that I believe in, um,
Yeah.
and that I want to share with other people. And I feel like it's kind of really. I feel like it's always been like that for me. It's always been like documenting my journey, really is kind of how
Yeah.
it started. It's documenting my journey because it started from in a place of not knowing who Ashley was and wanting to find something more meaningful. And so starting my social media
Mm.
really put me out there because believe it or not, guys, I was always very. I think I'm shy. Like I'm a shy person, but I feel like it's me being on social media and having to be like in front of the camera has helped me to release the actual Ashley, which is like I'm good in front of the camera, and I think I've always had like this insecurity, which I related with the video that I was watching. I don't know if it was the one you sent me, but oh no, yeah, it was that lady in that sermon. She was talking about how like she gets so stage fright, like her
Mm.
insecurity is speaking. And I remember even growing up in school, and I would skip class because I didn't want to do a speech in front of people because I was so worried what other people thought. I thought people were
Mm.
gonna like judge me on if I said this wrong or if I did this wrong. I had such this. I just was so like insecure about what people thought of me. Like I was
Yeah.
always like I was always worried, and I think it just stemmed from like, you know, being bullied and having people like act like I was someone that I wasn't. And so it almost made me believe that I was this person. This perception that they created was like, man, maybe I'm not that good, or maybe like, so it really like made me feel really, really bad about myself to where I didn't even like speaking in front of people in situations like that, or even like us doing this is now I'm in such a different place that it's like, I don't care. But um, just for like, I'm just saying like for that though, social media like helped me to find myself in the sense of like seeing like who I am and who like the talents that God gave me, that those are talents, those are not flaws, those aren't things to be insecure about, you know.
Yeah, I think it's, man, it can be so hard though because, like you said, you can either like, we care so much because what people think of us if we put something out. And I used to be the same. I would be like posting something and like I'm like, thinking what people are gonna think of me, or you know, and then you sometimes you even just think like, how can I even say, you're like, you almost think like, again, you're like comparing yourself to like other people, and then you're like, well, like, am I like relevant enough to like be posting that? Am I like good enough?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then even like the podcast, like I feel great about it, but then sometimes like,
Yeah.
am I qualified enough to like talk, you know, to share my thoughts? I have like enough wisdom? Am I smart enough? And like, kid you not, like for the longest time I thought I was like stupid. Like, no, seriously. So, like, up to like this year, like probably, or like last year, I thought I was stupid. I was like, I don't know anything. Like, but that's not it. Like, it's just I was smart on the thing that I cared about, and I that want to like learn about. I just never cared to like listen or like learn other things. Like since I'm young, my parents will always say, "Get out of your bubble," because I would be on the like dinner table and I would like eat and I would not listen. I was like in my own world, and I've always been like that. So I like they would talk. My mom was like, "You should like listen to what we say," and you know, and I was like, "La la la." So I think my whole life, I think it's just, you know, I thought I was not no like I didn't have any knowledge, but that's because I never cared to like know. But the thing I'm passionate about, I actually know a lot, you
Mhm.
know. But then you look on social media and like everyone seems like so smart. Everyone seems to like know what they're talking about, and then you start comparing yourself. It's like
Mhm.
it's easy for me to go on social media and share something. Meanwhile, it's like I don't know much. Like how many trainer there is that if you knew, you're like, they shouldn't, not they shouldn't be posting that, but you know what I mean. It's easy to act for like a moment, which is like the only thing you post on social media, and the rest of the time. So
Mhm.
it it's getting very like deceiving, and obviously social media is made to like just share, you know, glimpse of your life and
Mhm.
the good thing. And I think the one thing you said is like you can be fake, and I think it's a really good thing because we
Mhm.
need more people like that, because a lot of people are very fake. They're not, you know, they're not, without being fully fake. Sometimes they'll post things to either make money, have like fame, or like fill a void, um,
Yep.
but it's not truly who they are.
Mhm.
So for like I've been so many times looking at social media and be like, oh, if only like I was more like that. If only I had that. If only I had more of that. And you need to like realize that, you know, you were created in a certain way. Like God created you in a way for a reason. I
Mhm.
was always look at people that were like all like bubbly and like always like, you know, they enter a room and like they bring energy, and I was like, I want to be like that. But it's
Mhm.
like, no matter how much I force myself to be like that, I'll never be like that because that's just no not I am. Like I'm very like a chill person, very calm. I'm never like extra. Like I'm never gonna be like laughing so loud or like screaming and dancing, and like maybe it's gonna happen here and there, but like what I mean. But I would like almost
Yeah.
try to force myself to be that person because I like that about someone else. And it's not
Yeah.
because you like something about someone else that you need to be like that, because if you force it, it's not gonna be genuine, and it's gonna show, and it's just it's not gonna attract
Mhm.
anyone.
Mhm.
um yeah. And I guess.
Well, and that's why you and I work well together too, because I feel like you're like my chill mode. You know what I mean? But I also feel like I can be myself around you, like if I'm not feeling so bubbly, and not be judged, because I notice that when I am bubbly and stuff, but then when I'm my other Ashley, which is normal, which is like, okay, I've lost all of my energy and I just kind of need to be like chill mode right now. People are like, oh, are you okay? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm just like chilling. Like I can't be like that all the time. Like that's part of my personality, but I'm not like that full time, because it's like I just will overexert myself naturally, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm dead. And I feel like that's a good thing too to talk about, is like on our posts. So like on my posts, I feel like I'll have like those times where I go through, like where like I like I'm sharing how I'm feeling right now. Like I really share like whatever emotion I'm feeling, and then sometimes,
Mm,
which is definitely lately, I just I don't feel like posting. I'm not going to try to post something because I need to post. And that's where there was a while there where I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm not posting things. Like there was a part of me that thought, oh my gosh, like I'm not posting, like I'm not going to get as much engagement, like just like certain thoughts like that came into my head. And I'm thinking, who cares? Like, Ashley, why? And it's because of like, because you see people's posts and they're like, man, how are they so consistent with all their stuff? Like, how
yeah.
do they do this? Like, I know there's a method, but I can't always go off of that method. Like, I don't operate that way, where I just don't operate that way. I just kind of more of like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It just depends on my mood.
But you don't know their like life either, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're exhausted, maybe they're drained, maybe that's their like what they do on a daily basis. Like social media is taking out of context real people's life, and that's a big
Mhm.
thing. It's like
Mhm.
it's hard to show up all the time being okay and making posts like
Mhm.
everything is fine when you're not.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna make a post, I'm like, I'll like great, and then I get to the gym and I'm like, I'm in a mood, or like I'm not really like, I'm always nice to people, but like you're like, maybe you can tell that like, okay, I'm not myself, and then I
Yeah.
almost feel bad because I just posted something on Instagram that contradict that, and I'm like almost thinking, okay, I have to show up the same way I show up on Instagram, but I can't, you know and you see that a lot too when you meet people in person for the first time. So yeah, so I mean, you've probably like, it probably happened to you before, because obviously with going to shows and the expo, and you meet a lot of people you've looked up to. um it can be obviously like even actors or anything that has a big name or anything. And I feel like when you meet someone who has a certain status, it can go two ways. Either you meet them and you're really disappointed because they are totally not the person that um, they show to be on social media, and you're like, man, I've like idolized that person, I've looked up to that person, and they're not what they portray to be. Or they're very humble and they're very nice, and you realize how much more you are like them. It makes you feel so human, because you're like, man, like that person is like, it's just a person, and
Mhm.
it kind of take not the expectation down, but being like, okay, like they're not out there. They're human like me, and it really makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel like better. And I think, you know, how we are, it's that's how we want people to view us. Like for me, like when people tells me like, oh, like you're popular or anything, it really makes me not awkward, but I'm just like, no, I'm not, and I can laugh about it because that's not how we see ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just a human. That's why when people come to meet me or come to talk to me, that's how I want to make them feel, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel like, and I know I had like shared, I put this on my story, but it's like energy does not lie, and I feel like a lot of people on social media, like, they create this like fantasy, and it's a fantasy, I feel like, within their own world, right? So like where we
Mm,
can really people can really disconnect from the real world, and maybe they want to escape from the real world, right? And they don't know how to live in real life and how to have real connections with people. And I feel like, when you meet somebody, so like, I've known people, it's like they are only able to create on their social media page, and it's like you see this person that's like, wow, like, man, like this person's awesome, like we would totally get along. We have like, they could be like super smart and clever. Then they just have like this creativity that like you see this person through this lens, through the social
mm,
media, and then you meet them in person, and they are completely different. They don't even know how to have a conversation with you. They don't even know how to even smile at you. They completely ignore you. They completely avoid people because they don't know how to interact. They don't know how to interact. They don't know how to interact in real life. And to me, I look at that and I think, wow. I guess for me, I think it's sad because I feel like everything is about human connection, and we need to be able to connect with people. That's how like we live, that's how we operate. Like it's all about human connection and building relationships and getting to
mm.
know people. And in that case it's like, okay, then this person's not what I thought. Like energy does not lie. Like I could tell, like
Yeah,
they're just not what they come off as. And then you get
yeah,
some people that it's like, wow, like I would have never thought this person would be like this cool. Like I would hang out with this person. Like they're so down to earth and they're funny and they're humble and they're nice, and like, but I know that we all go through different things in our life, like who we are as beings, but at the end of the day I feel like we need to step away from the social media, being on our phone nonstop, online. It's like, and we need to actually take our attention and put it on real life things and connections and going,
yeah,
like you said, like family and friends, like calling them, FaceTiming them. We should be using maybe that kind of connection to talk to them since you don't live by them. But we
yeah,
need to like go explore and travel more and connect in different ways with people, and actually have like conversations. Like I like getting to know people. I like more depth to situations and things, and like small talk for me, it's not really a thing for me. Like I'm not a small talker at all.
I
Like
know.
I like to, I despise small talk. It's like, oh hey,
How's
yeah,
the weather
and then
today? You're like,
how's it? I'm like, yeah, it's good. Okay, I'm gonna go. You know what I mean? Or they're talking to me about Joe. Who's Joe? I don't know who Joe is. Like that's cool. Like I don't like to
yeah,
partake in that. And
yeah,
I think that's where a lot of the mental health comes in. Is people, I guess they use their social media as a way to express themselves, right? Which I think is beautiful. But I also think that you also have to be in the real world, and you need to work on those as well.
yeah. This is so deep. Like, I've never seen it that way, but it's so true. Like, people can be so great on social media, but you get in person and there's no essence to them. There's nothing to them. There's no energy there because all they know is how they show up on social media,
Yeah.
and social media is taking that away from us, like connection, human connection. You get places and people don't even know how to act normal in person. They have a hard time looking at you. They like pass by, they're on their phone. And that's something I've been working on because sometimes I can be awkward in person a little bit, I feel, with some people that I'm not like as comfortable. And I have a hard time looking at people in the eyes if I don't know them much, and I'll like look away. And it's something I want to, I want to be able to connect with people. And then I think we're so on our phone all the time, so consumed by it that we forget the people close to us and around us. And
Mm-hmm.
me taking a step back um, of like social media, like on my Instagram and posting every day and wondering what I have to post, it really took me back to a place of like, oh, like I need to show up for my friend. I need to FaceTime my friend. I need to talk to my parents. I need to take care of the people around me in real life, not only on social media, responding to, random people who like DM me, which is still like I appreciate people who take the time to reach out to me, or I'm happy to help. But at the end of the day, the people around you are the people that matter the most, and we're like taking away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's hard, man. Like it's we want everything that people has on social media when we don't even know how hard they work for, like all what they've been through, what they're going through. Um, you know.
We take it for granted. People take it for granted, and they think it's just like some like, oh, I should have that too, or and not saying that I haven't done that before, because yeah, I have done that. I've done
Mm,
that where it's like, man, like, why do they have all of this, or not even why they have all this, but like how we're talking about, like how it's like easy to like be in front of the camera, and like you're thinking, man, I wish I could be more like that, or I wish I could feel. I remember mine was always like, I wish I could feel more comfortable,
mm,
you know, talking in front of the camera and stuff, and not feeling like dummy, and it's like I have a good amount of friends that are, that are in the industry, that are like educators, and I've had mentors that were educators, and that the way that they speak is very like, book.
yeah.
And for me, I'm not like, I don't speak like that, so so I remember like
I just do
I,
not speak like that.
I do not speak like that. Like I speak what comes to my mind, and what connect, like what I connect with, and I share like how I process things and express it in my way to other
Yeah.
people. I use my hands a lot. I'm kind of the way that I am, and I remember always thinking that was an issue. It always made me feel like I'm not smart enough to be able to explain, and like, how
Be
can someone look at
fluid
me?
and yeah.
How can someone take me serious? Like, you know what I mean? But like over time, even just talking about it and putting in the work to get better at speaking about it and learning, and I just think experience over time, it's like, wow, I'm in front of the camera talking about an exercise, and the thing is I understand something. I understand a lot, but it's the way that I express it.
Mm,
It comes out differently. If I write,
yeah.
I can write, but like when I'm speaking, it comes out differently than what my mind is telling me, right?
Yeah. But I think it's
So
based
it
on
always,
social media to like, you look at people on social media, you think they know everything, they're smart. It's easy to post something on social media without really knowing about it. Does that make sense? It's
yeah,
like I can post
yeah,
a lot of things. Maybe I asked ChatGPT and I didn't know 2 seconds before, or like maybe like you said, someone like posted something, like they were talking and they were like so fluid and looked so easy.
yeah,
Well, maybe they've been like like working on that speech for like 2 weeks
yeah,
to have it so like, so it's really hard to just like take one thing and like you said,
yeah,
perception. Yeah.
yeah. Gotta, yeah, yeah. Instead of, and I think over the years it's like looking, looking at the gifts I have, looking at the gifts that we have.
Hmm.
Like what were the talents that God gave me? What are the things that started when I was a young kid? And I really like looked deep into this, like trying to figure out, and I feel like I'm always like, psychology, like always trying to figure out the root of issues and
Mm.
things like that, right? And so I'm like, okay, where did this stem from, Ashley? And but also looking at the positives and thinking when I was young, I was trained as a young kid. I remember being in front of the camera and liking the camera and always being good in front of the camera and being into the acting and the theater and they're like, ah, la, la, it's music and singing. So
Yeah.
like, what can I use now? What are talents of my, what are things about me that makes Ashley special and unique? Okay, I'm going to share that on social media and be myself because that's who I am and I don't know any different. So I'm going to use those plus the things that I've learned and I can express it in that way to people, right?
I love that. It's so crazy. It's like we need to stop wanting to be perfect on social media and thinking that we need to be perfect to post something or to like show something. It's like that's not where your values are. Like it's not in trying to be perfect, being like the prettiest, being the like you know. It's really like I love how you said like you took things that it's almost like what we think sometimes is like bad or like wrong about herself. You need to like look at it as like is a it's a gift and how can I use that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
um Maybe there's things that I think that's like so bad about myself that it's actually a gift and something I can be good at if you know if I don't see it negatively. And
Yeah.
the more I show up like not perfect on social media, it's really like who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I
just
love
I think
that.
we always think we need to be so perfect before like posting something, and then you stop
Yeah.
yourself from truly be yourself. And
Yeah.
I've I probably still I do it still, you know. I just been better at really being careful with like what do I consume on a daily basis, um, and unfollowing or like removing things that are not serving me. So if something's making me like envy or making me feel bad about myself or making me not jealous but like like self conscious, I'm gonna stop following it. It is not for me. I need to just be careful what you like you consume and just take care of not of yourself but just be careful with like I guess yeah what you consume. Just follow things and
Yeah.
people that makes you feel better about yourself and encourage you. But like I've been so often on social media being like, oh, I wish I was like I look like that or I was prettier, I had longer hair, and you know. But what and I tried so many times. I don't even know if I said that before because our recording kind of stopped
Yeah.
recording at some point. So I'm like, I feel
That
like
was my fault, guys.
it's
Yeah.
okay. I feel like I'm
It's okay.
repeating myself, but if I haven't said it before, I feel like I used to want to be so like out there in a certain type of way, and I would like force myself to be like that. And let's say, oh, if I force myself to be funny, well, it's not gonna make me better because it's not gonna be genuine. So don't try to be like someone else. And meanwhile, while you're looking up to someone and wanting to be like that, there's a high chance that they're self-conscious about it or they don't like that about themselves. You know? So now you're trying to be or idolize something or someone that is not even happy about what you idolize. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. That's so true. And like, I guess I could, say, but like, for instance, like how I was saying earlier before things kind of went sideways. You know, like I was saying, like I took it really personal, but I had someone, unfollow me on social media. And it's somebody that I know that trains in the same gym as me. I've known her for years. Long story short, we spoke about God. We compete in the same division. She's gone through her trials. She ended up getting pregnant, and then after wanted to do it again. I was always speak to her in like a big sister way, always there for her, because all I want to do is just like inspire anybody that has something, you know what I mean? I want to help anybody that I feel drawn to. If I feel like someone is going through something, I want to be able to help them in some kind of way and give them whatever I feel like maybe could help them, right? And so I noticed that she had unfollowed me, and I notice everything, okay? Especially for people that I feel like I see on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Like, I know what's going on. I'm aware. Ashley's aware of things. I pay attention. And so I noticed that she had unfollowed me, and I took it personal. I was upset. I'm thinking, what did I do to her? Like, what did I do to her? Like, why would she unfollow me? And I know it sounds silly. Some of you guys may think, who cares? Well, I do care, because I feel like I want to make an impact on anybody's life, and I feel like if I hurt somebody in some kind of way, yes, number one, I shouldn't take anything personal because it's going to happen. Number two, she had unfollowed me because she said that her therapist had told her that she needed to unfollow people that were affecting her energy and affecting the way that she felt. So bringing that up with you saying that, it really hurt. Like, it hurt I took it personal. I'm thinking, wow, okay. And she was like, well, you and the other girls go and do stuff, and you guys have never invited me. Number one, you have to be open, just like how we have to be open to let Jesus in, right?
Yeah.
You have to be open to people. You have to, if your energy does not align, it doesn't align, and that's okay. That's fine. Not all of us are going to connect. But the thing is that, like, you have to open yourself up for someone to feel like, hey, and talk with them. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason why you don't open up. So you can't expect people to be like, hey, come with us and hang out when you just are around and hiding yourself. You know what I mean? That's not inviting for people. And not even like anything, just ignores. And so I told her that. I said, well, you don't ever like really say hi. You don't like ever kind of open yourself. You didn't try. And the thing is, you have to try. You have to try to. And the thing is that if you want a human connection, you have to try to have a human connection. You have to communicate with people, say hi, and that's how you feel people's energies, and that's
People
how it
say
works.
hi.
You gotta say hi, or or smile, or at least smile. You don't need to say hi to me all the time because I'm working out in the gym. Okay, like, we'll chat afterwards. Smile. So, anyways, long story short, guys, I can't take it personal. That was my fault. For me, I have to look at it like, hey, those are her own. If that's something she's dealing with, then she's dealing with that, and I hope that helps, and not to take it personal. But I do hope the best, and I pray that she find peace. She can find, something to where, like, she doesn't feel like she's comparing herself to other girls and thinking, oh, the girls are in a group and they're not inviting me. That's not how it works. If you want to be part of something, you still have to open yourself up to things and try, like you said. So
No, I love that, because it's like we take things personal. We think that, oh, they don't like me enough. I'm not good enough, to be invited. They don't invite me anywhere. And it's not even about that. A lot of the time it's not like, oh no, I don't want to, she's not cool. Like, that's not how we think. But
no, not at all.
because we've centered everything on social media, and we were not able to, like, act as human in normal life, so if people are not even trying to connect with you, you're not going to invite them or want to be around them. But I think also, like, it comes from being self-conscious or just jealous, or that, like, a lot of people probably sees you like, oh, like, she has so many followers, like, and can, like, see you there when, like, you're trying to meet her there. Like, you're not even trying to meet her there, because we're all we're all the same. But people put so much emphasis.
You got
Emphasis.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the importance of followers. and you people y- put their values into that. Oh, how many followers they have, and it's like it doesn't matter how many followers I have. I'm a human. I
Yeah.
need human connection. I'm human. I'm no better than anyone else. But as long as you're not good with yourself and confident with yourself, you're always going to think that people are better than you if they have a certain status, or if they have that kind of followers or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it really comes from like you, and like being okay with yourself, loving yourself. And I think a big thing that can help you is stop looking outside, stop looking around, point it back towards you, inward. What do you
Yep.
bring on the table? Don't try to compare yourself to everyone, because man, it's never gonna stop. The amount, like,
Mhm.
everyone's so different. You're gonna want so many things you're never gonna get, and you're gonna
Mhm.
feel so empty because you feel like you're never enough. So if you start looking inwards, and okay, what do I have to give? What am I good at? Um, who's around me that really brings me joy and really bring me loves. Because I think if you focus more on people in real life and your connection and your friends or family around you, those are really going to fill you up with love, because those people around you are the people who really love you for who you are, not
Yep.
for who you're on social media.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I like that. I think that's really good, which really covers our impact for mental health. You know what I mean? Comparison, imposter syndrome, anxiety, and depression.
Mm,
Definitely common things in all of us. And I just think in humans, period, on social media or not social media, these are things that we deal with, which is like a constant rat race and finding our purpose and trying to figure out our identity, and then looking at others as if like, well, I want to do that too, but sometimes our calling is way different than what we think, right? I mean, it happens a lot, and so
yeah.
we think we're going to go this way, but no, it's not. And so then you get upset because you're like, man, that's you're so stuck on this goal or stuck on this thing, but it's not supposed to be your thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So what we do is like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna kind of look over everything and figure out and just take a break. And I feel like things will come to you and you'll figure out like, and then down the road you're going to be like, wow, I would have never thought that would have been something of mine, but I'm glad that I was patient. And I just was like, whatever, I'm up for the challenge, let's do it.
Man, you're talking to my soul right now. Like,
Good.
kid you not, when I obviously like competing, I feel like you always want to go to those like expos. At least me, like, and that's me being honest. You go to those expos and you almost want to be recognized by those bigger names,
Mm-hmm.
and because you want to be recognized and known in the industry. And last year, there was the first year that I grew in my relationship with God, and that was the first prep, well, the only prep that I did, being a bit closer to God and just growing in my faith. And I competed at the New York Pro, which is one of the most prestigious show um,
Mm-hmm.
in the pro league. And for the first time in my life, I competed and did not care for a second about who was in the crowd, who was watching me, judges, what people were thinking of me. I was there, and I felt so much calmness and peace, and just be like, I'm having a good time, and I don't care if anyone noticed me or not. I'm here for me, and I have nothing to prove. And it was such a good feeling, you
I love
know?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
when you know, like, okay, like this isn't for others. Like
yeah.
it's like that, like it's like this is for me, and this is like
Mm,
I feel good. I feel like I'm at peace with whatever. Like
yeah.
I'll take it, whatever happens, I'll take it how it is. But like you weren't worried. You knew God was with you.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know at that time, but I,
You were really calm though. I remember.
Yeah, but usually I
I
would go to
loves that.
shows like in the past, and you even if it's not, it was never like a big like desire, but it's always in your back in your head, being like, oh, like, is there anyone who's gonna notice me, or like,
Of course,
and that's
yeah.
normal too, but yeah, it was a
But you
great
didn't
feeling.
care.
No, I was
I
just,
love that.
yeah, I couldn't care
I
less.
love that.
So
That's
so
when you know
yeah,
that you're. That's when you know you're growing. You're like, okay.
I know. Feels,
When you feel those things.
yeah. So it's like I've always wanted to be like, oh, doing well in the pro league and be one of the top athletes, and all those recognition and those sponsorship, and man, I'm like, God is taking me such a different path, and I couldn't be more happy. Which is so much less revolve around social media and like, being seen, and I think a little bit in a different way, but it really strengthened my connection, like you said, with actual human being. And we need
Hmm.
more of that. We need more of that so much.
I know. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that. This is really good. I love that we spoke about this topic
Mm,
really because I felt like it's like a way for us to release even process our thoughts, with things and help
yeah.
us to realize certain things, like just chill out. There's no pressure. Like God's got us. Like He's
Yeah.
looking out for us. Like we are blessed. We're grateful. We have so many talents that we're gonna be good.
Yeah. I know. But one thing I can say, for you guys who are watching and can like in a place that you want to, I don't know, whatever you want to do, or you want to grow on social media, or you're so concerned and you're always, should I post this? Should I do this? Like, what people are going to think about me? Man, just be yourself, be
Yep.
yourself, and know that God made you that way for a reason, and everything that you are is so worthy of love and acceptance, and just stop trying to be perfect. Stop
Yeah.
trying to show up perfect, and you know always show up the best way on social media. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to be vulnerable. I'm not saying you need to talk about your
Yeah.
problem on social media, but I'm just saying, don't feel the need that you don't feel the need to show up perfectly on social media.
Yeah. Give yourself grace. You know what I mean. Give
Hmm.
yourself grace, and you're human. And I feel like it's nice to take the breaks.
Oh, I'm glad you're doing that. The podcast is good for my soul. I told Ashley this week. I was like, I'm having a week still today. And then I was like, I cannot wait to get on the podcast. I feel like I need that. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. No, seriously, you guys have been great. I mean, we're just starting. We're like, we love doing it, and we just love to be able to, be honest and vulnerable. So, you guys have been really sweet, sending really nice messages to us, and um, just encouragement about it. So, we love you guys, and yeah, much more to come.